What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic and that the player ratings and potentials may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. You don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just want some help, or for those of you out there who may just be stuck for ideas on who to sign for a specific team in career mode. So in today's Who to Sign For, guys, we are going to take a look at the Premier League leaders, Leicester City. Now, I did not think I'll be saying that sentence in December 2015, but that's right. Leicester City right now are currently leading the Barclays Premier League. They have had an absolutely incredible season under the new management of Claudio Ranieri. The Tinkermans came in and he has really improved morale at Leicester, and they are looking like such a good squad. They have been so fun to watch this season, and right now they are currently top of the table with just one defeat in the Premier League so far. It really has been interesting to see what's been going on at the King Power Stadium, as Leicester have shocked everyone, myself included, who thought they might struggle this year, and currently lead the Premier League. Shows what I know about football as well, by the way, guys, saying that I thought Leicester would struggle this year. But anyway, Leicester City's team, who to sign for a Leicester City career mode. Now, as you can take a look at the squad right now, you saw the objectives right there. What did the board want you to do with Leicester City in your first season as manager at the King Power Stadium? Well, in the league, they want you to finish mid-table, and in the domestic cup, either the Capital One Cup or the FA Cup, they want you to reach the round of 16 stage. Now, is that possible with the squad you're looking at right now? Absolutely it is, yes. You can definitely do that in the first season, and your budget with Leicester is around £20 million. It's £19.5 million and 70 grand on a wage budget without boosts or pre-season tournaments, and to be honest, as a budget, that's not too bad, but you're not going to be able to sign any world-class players in the first season, which you probably would have expected anyway when you decide to do a Leicester City career mode. As for contracts, what I will tell you right now is that a couple of those players in there, like Chilwell, for example, are probably worth giving a new deal to, but other than Joe Davis and maybe the striker Dudu as well, you probably don't need to worry about offering contracts to any of those players as well, so just release the vast majority of those. But Chilwell, Dudu and Davis as well, I'd probably give a new deal to at some point during the season and extend their contract. But for signings for Leicester City, who to bring in? Well, to be honest, the whole squad, as I said, is pretty decent, don't get me wrong, but you're probably not going to be winning the league title and qualifying for the Champions League in the first season. You might do if you're a really good FIFA player, but in terms of a career mode with Leicester City, you should be looking at this as a very long project. If you want to get Leicester City into the Champions League and maybe even winning that competition in years to come, if you want them to be challenging for the Premier League title year in, year out in years to come, keep thinking about that phrase right there, years to come, because that's what it's going to be with Leicester City. You're not going to do it in the first season unless you're a really good FIFA player. So who to sign for a Leicester City career mode? Well, I would look at bringing in young talent to improve the first 11 right from the beginning, whilst also being really good enough to develop and become stars in this Leicester City team and the Premier League as well in several years to come. So who would I recommend? Well, there are loads of targets out there, but my main four are these guys right here: Nelson Semedo, Nicholas Saul, Jordan Ibe, and also Ruben Neves as well. So you've got a central midfielder, a centre back, a fullback, and a wide midfielder as well. All of these players are really, really decent. Although their overalls, not a single one of them is 80 plus, which you've got to expect really with a £19.5 million budget. You can't go all out on all the best players in the world and really big stars, but all these players have really solid potential. Saul, the centre back from Hoffenheim, starts off with 78 and has potential to hit 86. That's a growth rating of 8. Nelson Semedo starts off with 74 and has the potential to hit 84. He's the right back. Jordan Ibe, who you saw there from Liverpool, starts off with 71 and has potential to hit 81, just like Semedo. That's a growth rating of 10. And Ruben Neves is the central midfielder of the team. He starts off with 76 overall, but has the potential to hit a staggering 88 in the future. Now, for £19.5 million, all four of these transfer targets are achievable in the first summer transfer window with Leicester if you're lucky and do some shrewd business as well. But you might have to sell on some players as well with this Leicester team in order to raise the funds. So if you're going to sell some players, look at selling players in the same positions as these four players coming in. So you can see we sold Danny Simpson to Bournemouth, not for a big fee, but that's going to help out when it comes down to signing Nelson Semedo. That's going to take off a bit of the fee we'll be paying for the Portuguese right back. We negotiated a bid of £4.25 million, and part of that gets covered by Danny Simpson going. He's a right back, Semedo's a right back. You've already got Richie Delate here as well. You don't need three of them, so sell one of the Simpson or Delate, whichever one you want, and just have Semedo in the team and Delate or Simpson as the backup. So if you are are going to buy these players, you can see here with Andy King as well, we're looking at trying to buy Ruben Neves from Porto, and you're not going to use King much, or Drinkwater, or James, for example, one of those players, one of those 3 players right there, if you sign the Portuguese central midfielder. So look at selling one of those 3 in order to raise a bit of money to help bring in the cash to sign these 4 players. So as you're watching us complete the signings of these players right here, Nicholas Sewell being the first one for £7 million, you've got to remember with a budget of just £19.5 million and 70 grand on the wage budget, you are going to have to adjust that budget obviously as the players come in due to the wage demands of the players. I think all of them wanted about 30 or 25 grand minimum, which is, you know, quite a lot for teenagers that are coming in here. You know, the players coming in, they're all really decent players and everything, but you got to remember that the fees add up pretty quickly. So you're not going to be able to sign like 10, 15 players with Leicester that are of this caliber, the players that we're bringing in right now in the first summer transfer window. All 4 of these players are really good young talents, don't get me wrong. They're all really, really good players. Nelson Semedo is the oldest one though, just 21 years old. And again, with Leicester City, this is a massive, massive project you're undertaking here. You're not going to be challenging for the title and the Champions League places in the first season unless you're a really good FIFA player with this squad. But as a squad, it's got the potential to develop over time into a really good one. And all 4 of these players coming in meet the criteria of being good enough for the first team, at the very least being on the bench, and also being good enough in the future to be stars in this Leicester City team. So you've got to look at it like this. With Leicester City, you're not going to be bringing in players. You won't be able to bring in any players that are probably going to make you challenge for the title in the first season unless you're a really good FIFA player. So look at it like this. This is a project right here, and you may be disappointed when you're watching this video, when you're seeing these 4 signings coming in and hearing me saying those sort of stuff, when you consider the fact that Leicester are playing so well this season in real life and currently top of the table. But you've got to look at it this way, man. Like, seriously, this is going to be a project here with Leicester City, and you know, these players coming in, they're costing us over the valuation, but always look at the potential of the players. And I always say that in career mode, it is the most important thing you have to remember when you're signing young talent. Yes, of course, you may look at these players and think, well, they're not that great, are they? They're not bad or anything, but they're not amazing. You got to look at the potential of the players you're bringing in. Of course, Nicholas Sewell, 86 potential, Nelson Semedo, 84, Jordan Ibe, 81, and Ruben Neves, 88. You know, Sewell's growth rating is 8, Semedo and Ibe are 10, and Ruben Neves is 12. That's a lot of progression for those players, and of course with good form and a player training feature this year as well, you can turn these 4 players you bring into your side into absolute monsters in the future of Leicester, and these 4 players will bring Leicester up with them as they're developing their own games. They'll be helping the squad look better year after year as well. So you got to look at it that way. This is a project with Leicester City, not a one-season challenge where you just aim to win as many trophies as possible, qualify for the Champions League, challenge for the Premier League title. It's a long career with Leicester. It's a big, long career. It's going to take its time. It's going to take you a while before you really are challenging for Champions League titles and Premier League titles. But if you can lay the groundwork early, which is what you're doing these 4 signings here. Lay the groundwork early, right from the beginning. You're bringing in players that are going to help you achieve those aims in many years to come. So you can see Jordan Ibe here. We offer him a contract after agreeing a £2.7 million deal. As you can see, the fees for the players as well, they were over the valuation for all the players. Jordan Ibe was £2.7 million. Neves was £7 million. Nelson Semedo was £4.25 million. And Sewell was £7 million, I do believe. That is quite a lot of money. You know, that is pretty expensive, don't get me wrong. That is over £20 million. That's over the budget you had to start with. But of course, when you're selling on the players like I told you there with Danny Simpson and Andy King and whoever else you want to sell to, you can afford to bring in these 4 players. You know, they are quite expensive and they are what you consider unproven, if you will, whilst they're still quite young, Semedo being the oldest at 21 years old. But either way, all 4 of the players are really, really good signings, and I would definitely say that with a Leicester City career mode, if you can bring all 4 of them in, you'll definitely see in the first season they're all good enough to be in the first 11, if not at the very, very, very least on the bench. They're all going to benefit the side massively in many years to come, and as a project, I think these 4 players laying the groundwork down early, improving Leicester City's first team whilst also focusing on the future as well, trying to do both of those aims in the first season. In my opinion, all 4 of these players coming in really do match that criteria, match those objectives. These would be really, really good signings for Leicester City. So Nicholas Sewell, my number 1 centre-back target, my number 1 wide man target, if you will, be Jordan Ibe. My number 1 central midfielder target would be Ruben Neves. Neves, and my number one fullback target would of course be Nelson Semedo. Obviously, if you can't get all four of those players, there are different alternative players you could use, but these are the main four ones that I would choose in those positions. And again, I would say Nicholas Sewell is probably my number one target out of all four of these players, because you can see the squad right here. It is a pretty decent squad, but I would say the centre-back area is probably the most worrying one with Leicester. You know, Robert Huth is 30-odd. You got Wes Morgan, who's also a 30-odd as well, and also a centre-back who's aging and retiring in the first season too. You really do want to make sure you get yourself a good young centre-back in the first season. That's my number one target, and I would definitely say Nicholas Sewell would be really, really good. But of course, Neves as well, Jordan Ivan, Nelson Semedo, you want to bring in those three players as well. And of course, there are alternative targets for those players as well if you can't get hold of them, but those are the four main ones for those positions. Still, coming to the end of the season, Leicester City didn't win the title. Unsurprisingly, they finished in 9th place. So a top half of the finish for Leicester. Not bad for a second season in the Premier League. After 38 games, finished with 55 points. 16 wins as well in 38 games, 15 losses and 7 draws. Not too bad, 9th place. Not doing too well in the FA Cup though. Didn't even reach the round of 16 stage. Actually got knocked out in the round before that, which was pretty annoying. But in the Capital One Cup, they did actually win it by beating United in the final by a goal to nil. So how about that? Maybe not any league success in terms of winning titles or qualifying for Europe, but in the Capital One Cup they won that, and of course it would put them in the Europa League next season as well. So how about that? Not too bad for a first season with Leicester. And again, I'll reiterate once again, laying down the groundwork early on. You can see the final squad report here. All these players went up by at least 1 rating come the end of the season. Ivan Semedo went up by 3, and Neves and Sewell went up by 1 rating each. So that's not too bad for a first season. And when you consider the fact that these guys are just going to get better as they're not even close to their peaks yet, what a start this would be in your Leicester City career mode as you look to have many more successful years at the King Power Stadium. But thank you for watching this video, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed it. I'm sorry I couldn't find any players for £20 million that would make Leicester City title contenders in the first season, but I don't think that's really possible unless you're a great FIFA player. But if you have any other suggestions on who to sign for Leicester City career mode, then feel free to leave me a comment and tell me how you would manage the Foxes. Always interested to see how you guys would manage the team I do in this Who to Sign For series, and how you would manage whatever side I'm using. But thank you for watching the video regardless. Don't forget to tell me who you want me to do next in the Who to Sign For series. I don't mind, to be honest. I'll probably do a foreign team, but feel free to leave me a comment and give me some suggestions for another team to use. But thank you for watching the video regardless. If you have enjoyed the video, then please do leave a like, as it's much appreciated. It really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.